Hello and a warm welcome to Straight from the Heart, a podcast by Pragyan Advisory. I am Sunil Ganesh, your host. Over the last several months, we have realized the importance of having deep, focused conversations and realizing the importance of conversations, something that we believe we have been missing of late. We have named this series as Conversations. This entire podcast series is essentially where we talk to leaders, experts, around topics of leadership, teams, and culture. As part of our conversation series, today I am very pleased to introduce a very passionate team builder, an energetic transformation leader, a person who has, over the last many years, been systematically and continuously working towards transforming the function that he leads. A change leader par excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to welcome and introduce Mr. Yogesh Sirohi, the CFO of PwC in India. Yogesh started his career with Thomas Cook and had a long stint with KPMG before he moved into PwC a few years ago. Yogesh, welcome to Conversations.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you for having me here. It's
It has
always
been,
been a pleasure to interact with you. Thank you.
in fact, I have also been very eagerly looking forward to interacting with you, and it's indeed a pleasure that we are finally able to make this happen. You would realize that the overall theme that we had picked up for our conversation is the power of engagement in driving transformation.
Right.
And I was of the view that there is no better person to talk about these two very interesting themes than you, because you have been on this journey of transformation for many years. And I do understand that the journey is still on, it's not complete. And therefore, a few of these questions were more to get your thoughts around, which I believe our listeners may also find a lot of insights from. So, without wasting too much of time, let me pose the first question. And therefore, this will in many ways set the stage for our entire conversation. So, what is this transformation journey that you are on, and what is it that you're trying to create?
Thanks, Sunil. And I'm sure you would know this famous phrase by Merlin Ferguson about transformation is a journey without a final destination, right? Which has infinite wisdom in it, and it's just so relevant in today's world of ever-changing environment. I believe transformation is a journey which has high impact, not only on the organization, but also on the individuals. The various transformation initiatives that I choose, and that's something that I'm going to share with you, that I try to make them sophisticated and innovative enough so that it creates organization level change and also provide immense learning and development opportunity for its people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something has always been my focus throughout my tenure in different organizations. My endeavor has always been to create viable future businesses and build up the required capabilities to meet different opportunities or challenges that are presented, right? It involves famous PPT, scaling up the people, process and technologies, which aids in efficient running of day-to-day business and successful culture in stable environment.
Mm.
With all this in mind, my objective is to create a winning and a happy team where each one in their own capacity feels valued, drives a sense of purpose, develops a leadership mindset regardless of their level. That's very critical.
Mm.
And ultimately, and may you may have a smile when I say this, I want to build a strong legacy of leaders so that when I depart from my current role, my successor feels very proud to lead the team and at the same time feels it's challenging to further improve the processes and the ways of working that I've created.
Interesting.
I hope
Okay.
I have answered your question in my
No, this
own
is
way.
this is interesting because you touched upon a lot of these, and in fact, in many ways, you also set the stage for my next question, which is that, and since you have been on this journey and basis your experience, what, in your view, would be some of the most critical aspects necessary to sustain transformation and be successful?
Right.
Because we do hear this transformation, transformation, transformation. But for me, the interesting bit has been this duration. You have been on this for quite many years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what do you think? So, I think that will be something that will be very keen to know from you.
Great question. So, my understanding, Sunil, is that leaders in the business of transformation often know that the real value emerges over time. through
mm,
sustainable change that endures.
mm,
It is important to put the right capabilities, competencies, and change adoptive culture in place for sustaining transformation and becoming successful. That's the key, right? My understanding it greatly involves engaging and empowering leaders within the firm
mm,
to model and reward new behaviors or milestones achievements. Leaders should also work to embed the change into the organization and build the strength to continue to evolve as situation arises. And then in the current context, that's the critical thing. Another important point is celebrating the success of each milestone achieved is such a powerful tool to keep the employees engaged.
mm,
I also believe for sustained transformation, culture is the key. Each
mm.
one of us has to get comfortable with the discomfort. That's my thinking. Only then you'll be pushed to think out of the box by challenging the status quo, and that's my style. That keep challenging the status quo. You'll come up
Mm.
with the improvement. As people say, perfection doesn't exist, but if you chase perfection, you get excellence. That's what. So, in a nutshell, your success revolves around how well you are engaged with your team
Mm.
throughout the journey across all aspects of transformation.
Interesting. And I'll come to this engagement bit in a while, but you made a very interesting, used an interesting phrase,
Mhm.
being comfortable with discomfort. Could you elaborate on that?
So I think when any individual becomes comfortable in the environment, they stop trying to get better, to challenge themselves to achieve more,
Mm.
or a sense of, I would say, they put a full stop to overall development in terms of their thinking, their people around, and in the current environment, so much of possibilities are there to do things better.
Mm.
Makes you as an individual much better professional. You create value for the organization. So I think the comfort zone is the most dangerous one today. You
Mm.
just can't afford to sit there. You have to step out. It's a competitive world. It's a creative world.
I'm also taking notes when you are describing because it's so very interesting that comfort zone can also be very dangerous. I think that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. So that therefore uh, brings me to the point that since again in the context of the transformation that you are doing and you highlighted the important facets that are necessary for effective transformation, what would one need to be very vigilant about, especially when the transformation is so long drawn?
You know, my sense is uh, the first barrier to strategic nimbleness are the organizational blind spots. That develop over time and cause initiatives to go unnoticed or get discounted as transient or insignificant, right?
Hmm.
That's the biggest barrier. This happens due to misjudging industry trends or development. You're not focusing on the trends, right? Your decision making biases. You think you know everything, you're already doing the best.
Hmm.
Lack of foresight among different stakeholders group. These are some of the points. Another thing which is linked to culture, lack of openness to uncomfortable information, unwillingness to face conflicts, or inability to listen to employees with conflicting point of view, all indicate poor built-in vigilance. As leaders, my sense is we also must act as a constant guiding light for our employees so
Hmm.
that at no point of time they feel lost in the process. I think that's what leaders have to do, and this is what my sense is, that you have to remain vigilant about these aspects. Then your transformation journey will be fruitful and successful and very
Interesting.
satisfying.
And what's your mechanism of staying vigilant?
You get up with a task in your mind,
Hmm.
and your energy levels are pushing you to reach office, interact with your people,
Hmm.
and I think uh, giving space to people, right, to express themselves openly. Instead of making one mind work, you have multiple minds working and coming up with the best ideas,
Hmm.
and being decisive, and your risk appetite to Be not afraid of failures. I think these are few things, the traits that every transformation leader will have to have. Otherwise, without trying, how will you achieve success? That's my style of working, but I may be wrong.
Interesting. Very, very good. Thanks for that, Yogesh. And we now come back to that point that you touched upon as you were describing those critical facets for effective transformation. And you use and it's also the theme of our conversation, which is engagement, right? So tell me a bit more about the power of engagement in driving and sustaining transformation. And why is it so important for you personally?
So, Sunil, as I said, I talked about PPT, where I kept people first, right? So if you get the people aspect correct, then the process and technologies gets taken care automatically. For any transformation to succeed, any organization would need their employees buy-in at all levels, consistent communication, and better people strategies. Right? These are the critical aspects of any transformation to be successful. Greater degree of involvement from the people at the front line helps to expand the ownership of the transformation goal from the senior leadership to the junior most person involved in that journey. Consistent communication around the changes being made with clear definitions of roles and responsibilities and a strategic approach to talent management that makes them feel valued, creates the passion in the team members, which helps them drive the transformation agenda, which makes it more sustainable in a longer term. For me, people are everything. You create technology, you decide processes, but without people, even
give us a few examples. As in, what is it that you do? Because this is interesting, and let me also take a cynical note to this. Okay, and I'm doing this very consciously. People may say this is all nice conversation talk, very good for articles and write-ups.
Right.
But I am very keen to know, if this is what you do, how do you do it? Give our listeners a few examples.
There are very basic stuff that I am pretty passionate about my people, and then it's absolutely a known fact that I can. I always have this, that your success, the credit goes to the team, and any failure, it's on the leader's chin. And my people, I always I've learned it from my bosses. That you have to always provide air cover to your people and give them freedom to be at their best. Certain things to engage with people. 250 plus team members, including finance and business services. Barring last 15 days new joiners, I know every individual by name. They get morning wake up call on their birthdays. And what this does,
you do that yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, without fail. So what it does, when you do consistently and you connect with your people, it establishes that trust, that bonding. And in this process, funny to feel, but I feel very happy that when, let's say, you're also human, no matter how mechanically you do it right, you miss out on one individual birthday, wishing them on one. And it's so nice that you have established a connect. They will call you back and they say, Yogesh, you haven't wished me. You understand the connect that it helps to build. Then I think a lot of other things that we do about talent hunt. As I said, we are people who celebrate success within no time. So we celebrate, have parties, talent hunts. We always encourage people to come and express themselves, enjoy the working here. And the biggest thing is in our finance values, the biggest thing with the young generation that I lead, we have being curious as one of the value. And I'm so happy they come up with so many ideas to improve things and connect. Absolutely fantastic. So I think these are some of the things. You remain human, you value your people, and have that emotional connect. Rest, everything is taken care of.
Very, very, very heartening and exciting to note this. So, with all these things that you do as a leader, engaging with them, energizing them, working with them, focusing on the culture, what would be some of the more tangible, visible results that others can see? Because
Uh,
at the end of the day, all this has to lead to something, right?
yeah,
And
yeah, no,
in the
absolutely.
context of a business. So, what would be those results that you can say, yes, I can safely say all this has led to this?
I can say this with so much of confidence because I have felt it, I have experienced it, and I have extracted so much of benefit for the organization because of all this thing of so the best thing that comes is the self-motivated employee base with very high energy levels. I mean, this is something that I can say we have created. The kind of energy we have in our team is unbelievable. These employees or the team members, uh, they learn to push the boundaries. That is part of the culture. As I keep repeating myself, challenging the status quo, and they develop themselves as more competent employees, ready to withstand challenges in future. So you bring that confidence level. Let's see what's there. We'll handle it, right? We're together. We'll handle it. And then the biggest one is the enhanced ownership. The team members assume responsibilities to execute the transformation agenda under the guidance of the leadership on their own. So you can imagine when each individual is understanding the responsibilities role so well, and they're self-started, they're self-motivated. Look at the outcome which it gives, and we have achieved. We have achieved. The biggest thing then happens is the team spirit and the mutual respect. I've seen focused engagements make work more fun. You enjoy being together. You enjoy working together. You enjoy exploring ideas together. That's the biggest advantage of the engagement. It's
Mm.
not that people are focusing on the biases of the leadership. Everyone has a chance to
Mm.
prove, lift the game, and keep raising the bar, right? And the last one that I always learn from these youngsters: work hard and party harder. After every success we celebrate, and I can't tell you, my energy levels go up when these youngsters pull me to the dance floor. So it's fantastic. And these are absolutely tangible benefits which doesn't require pull or push technology to be used at the transformation agenda. It's so participative. It's so participative.
Interesting. And with all this happening, that you have a self-motivated team, high on ownership, curious, what are the results that the business sees?
I think a great customer service, uh, always a solution focused approach, always seeing that the efficiencies are coming through,
Mhm.
and a very, very strong dependable team that they have. They don't have to bother about some of the nuances that maybe other teams may face, but the confidence that business has on this team is unbelievable. So I think that's the success mantra for each individual and as a team, that your confidence, you're being valued, and you are free to try and do better and learn in the process.
That's right. Now, last year, and I think I'm sure many of us would have heard this phrase ad nauseum now, but it assumes significance in our context, is that the pandemic caught all of us by surprise. And I'm
Yeah.
sure most of us were not, I don't know, mentally but emotionally prepared for such a kind of a challenge.
Hmm.
So the question that now comes in is that you, as I heard you, there is a
Hmm.
transformation journey that you had initiated a few years ago. That journey is still on, and there are still some distance, some miles to cover. And then comes 2020, this pandemic comes and hits. And it caught almost all of us by surprise. I'm sure it would have caught you and the organization also by surprise. Tell me, as a leader, how did you manage this continuity, which is business as usual and transformation? So, was it that there were some things that you had to do in the mid, or you were able to manage it both? What was your experience of managing both these pieces in the context of the pandemic?
So you'll be surprised. As I mentioned in the beginning, my endeavor has always been to create viable business, future business, and build up the required capabilities to meet different opportunities or challenges, right?
Hmm.
uh, that are presented to us. So thankfully, and as a result of our continued effort that you rightly said that we started a couple of years back, our people, processes, and systems were in a future ready state. The work from home was not a surprise to us because we had completely digitized finance function. We had started working from home, unlike many other finance functions, from 2019 beginning itself. So people had complete comfort on work from anywhere kind of thing, right? Hence, we were able to successfully sail through the sudden pandemic outbreak. There were no disruption to our business or operations, and with the constant support from our technology team, we were able to stand through the storm. It was a big one, but we were very confident. We continued as a business as usual, and our team's engagement, you'll be surprised, remained very high throughout this difficult phase.
Hmm.
Even though it was virtual, but it kept fueling our engine.
Hmm.
We were connected, we were regularly in touch with people, we were discussing, and of course, a couple of months initially, when in the month of March, etc., when the lockdown happened, the graph went up of the working hours for sure, but then it stabilized very quickly because of the strength that we had built, and our ability to remain ahead of the curve helped us immensely in the transformation journey and dealing with the pandemic.
Hmm.
So that actually, as we say, the transformation journey tested the waters and we were successful.
Interesting. So it would be fair to say that one can infer that in your case, engagement was a very clear differentiator.
Yeah, absolutely. It kept the energy levels high throughout the field. I mean, we didn't allow it to drop. We reached out to people who suffered, and it was the team was there. Team was there. Whether it's a business exigency or a personal exigency of any team member, the whole team was there, carrying on the business as usual, maintaining the high level of engagement and energy levels. That's absolutely remarkable. And as a leader of this team, I'm very proud. The team really sailed through so smoothly through this pandemic.
Wow. Wow. So, in essence, now you described to us the entire piece, what all things happened in the context of engagement. What is your philosophy of leadership? Your personal philosophy?
See, it like what my thinking is, Sunil, has always been, you empower your people and they will empower you in return. It's always a two-way relationship.
Demystify this for me, because I'll tell you, I hear this very often that when leaders say empower people, empower, and at times I get the feeling that as if empowerment is the panacea for all problems. But tell me, how do you make it happen? So, when you say empower people, what do you do?
Mm. So, what is empowerment? Basically, you don't feel any pressure on yourself when you have to express yourself, when you need clarification, when you want to take a decision, when you want to take a stand. So, as I said, I use the term giving air cover to your people.
Hmm.
Basically, saying we have trained you in the environment, we have told you about the risk, we have also shared with you risk mitigation. Now, we are not going to interfere in your decision making ability. Reach out to us only when you are in doubt to clarify, right? So they have every empowerment to take care of their business. The bureaucratic layer of hierarchy, etc., is for to deal with exigencies, failures, risk, etc., etc.
Hmm.
But allowing people to do their job freely, and in that process, if they want to change something, coming up with the ideas, if they want to automate something, they are empowered to go interact with IT, come with their business plan, come with the business requirement document,
Hmm.
engage with teams, test run that, see the benefits, and with the necessary approvals, go for it, implement. And once people see that their ideas have been implemented, that's the empowerment. That's the happiness quotient which goes up. right? And in my team meetings, I always uh, expect people to speak up,
Mm.
right? The biggest commitment that we ask from any new joiner is to share certain things which they don't like in our team so that we can improve upon. And that encouragement or that openness which comes through that encouragement helps us to continue to improve and keep raising the bar. And what it does is the newcomer, when their ideas are heard and implemented, they straight away get connected to the main theme.
Mm.
And that's the empowerment to me.
Oh, interesting. Now, there's a slight nuance here, which maybe I'm imagining it, but considering the function that you are in, which is finance, and correct me if I'm wrong, there is this often association with finance is that finance is more about assurance, predictability. There are certain reliability in the way the function works, the controllership aspects that we say. Now, that with experimenting with new ideas, to the uninitiated, it can sound very risky. Okay, here is a function which is supposed to do a piece in a particular manner, and here is this empowerment which is encouraging me to try new things. How do you ensure that there is balance between the two?
I think that's the responsibility of the leaders
Hmm.
to keep using the high energy levels and the ideas which are coming, right, and using it for the benefit of the organization, for the benefit of the people, from a learning, upskilling, bringing more leadership mindset into your team. I think the striking that right balance, and then as far as I'm concerned, I always say the traditional finance has to stay where they were. The controllership aspect is getting shrunk big time. You have to be a value creator, right? And that's what my team has very successfully been able to do. Because how do you grow finance professional? Not by offering them mundane job which the bots can do, and we have highly digitized finance function where so many bots are doing the mundane job. So the mind is more on data analytics, more on how do we create more value, insight for the leaders,
Hmm.
which and also on upskilling, job rotations, right? So my sense is the leaders have to strike that balance, channelizing that energy in the right direction, in the right manner, and controlling that pace, where the individuals don't get overexcited. Extreme of
Hmm.
everything is bad, right? And that's the leader's job. And people can call it, you have 100 horses in the rath, but the sarthi has to control all, right? Take them into a specific direction.
Interesting. So empowering people in a certain way defines the core of your leadership philosophy. Would that be fair
Yes.
thing to say?
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
other facet of your leadership philosophy? Any other facet?
I think it's building the high level of trust, right? And then the team members feeling that, even if I fail, my leader is going to take care of me, right? Not that you are being careless about certain things. Okay, you are being sincere, and while doing that sincere effort, you might make a mistake.
And
Making
that's where
mistake is
that
not
air
the
cover
part of
comes back. That's where that air cover that you spoke of comes back.
absolutely. It's carelessness has no excuse. Sincerely trying to do something, create a value proposition. If you happen to make a mistake,
Hmm.
then very instantly people say, "Who has done this?" Right? And my thinking is, how did it happen? Let's diagnose and pick up learnings from here so that in the future we don't commit the same mistake. So instead of blaming individuals, you look at the problem and let that individual understand where that individual has gone wrong. That's where the learning comes. If the person is blamed immediately on the mistake, then his ability to try again gets impacted big time. And that's what I kind of very sincerely work on, because people should not have any fear of trying again. Because I always encourage, speak your mind and bring the same fearless culture in a workforce. Because not one or 10 people alone can think of all the ideas. It's the whole team and people who are on the field will know the challenges and what better solutions they can come up with. That's my thinking.
Thanks for that. So, taking this piece further, and I know that you are very actively connected, networked with your peer groups as well across other organizations, and also generally spend a lot of time in reading and updating yourself. So, the question that crosses my mind is, having been on this journey, and if I may say, peppered by the experience of the pandemic,
Hmm?
what, in your view, is likely to be the shape and form of leadership needed in organizations? And I'm not necessarily restricted to the CFO's role or your organization, but organizations in general. What is your reflection?
So there are 5 or 6 elements that I see that the future leadership should have. One is the very basic one, the future forward-looking aspect. The leader has to be forward-looking. They should be able to visualize or see the future based on whatever trends, etc. Anticipation and corresponding preparation would be crucial for any leader of future, right? As a leader, one must follow a continuous loop of reflecting on the past, not stucking there, but reflecting on the past, learning and picking up the key takeaways from it, and then planning for the future. I think the forward looking approach is going to be the big one. Then the next one, as I said, innovator. The leader has to be innovator. Being curious is the key to success in fast paced, the way current environment is. It is going to be much more uncertain, as we all know. Collaboration is going to be the key, and it's all 360. It's not that you have to just uh, politically correct in collaborating with certain stakeholders, but it's 360-degree. And empathy will always be there to make a leader successful, no matter how much of automation you use, how much of virtual working from home and working from anywhere. The empathy is going to continue to play that important role. And the last one that I think is the resilience would be the talk of town. A resilient leader who inculcates the same culture across levels would be the success mantra times to come.
So,
Being resilient is
four big
what I.
ones I hear from you: forward looking, innovator, empathy, and resilient.
Yeah, yeah, and of course collaboration will continue to be there, which is there from traditional leadership aspect.
But these
Yeah,
four typically are likely to become more, if I may say, accentuated in the light of what has been experienced by us over the last year and a half or so.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Now, this is something that I was very keen to ask you, since I've been observing you now for almost about half an hour as you were sharing your story and what you're trying to create.
Right.
Now, so there are times, and let me give a brief background to this particular piece, is that these have been times where many of us, I'm
Hmm.
sure, have had our bouts where we felt very, very low on energy, very low on motivation, uh, almost at times dejected with what's happening for various reasons. Maybe work is not very exciting, the pressures and challenges of working from home. I have always seen you very, very energized and motivated. I've always seen you, at least I've always seen you with a smile on your face. I've never seen you without a smile. So the question that very logically comes to my mind is, what is your source of motivation?
Okay. Uh, Difficult to summarize, but let me try. You know, the emotional or the feeling bad or this, it's a very humane feeling, right? I mean, everyone will have their own good days or bad days. And to me, what really matters is how strongly you can bounce back. You can have a bad day, you can have a bad week, but if you let it continue for long, then you'll never be able to come out. So my philosophy is that you had a bad day, shake your head, come back next day prepared with full energy to deal with the situation and to take this to a different level. Personally, I think for me, what acts as the biggest motivating factor for me is turning my passion to create a vision for future and share and implement ideas with the help of my team. I think that turns me on. I believe you know there is so much to learn. No matter what organizational hierarchy you are in, that there is no time to feel dejected. There's hardly any time to feel bad or feel dejected about anything. There's so much of happening, so much of learning is there.
Give me
Yes,
an
you should.
example. Give me an example. So when you say so much of learning, so much to do, tell me what personally you may have also done during this period.
This transformation journey has offered me learning every day. When I interact with these 250 individuals on one-on-one basis, the different mindset. One of the philosophy that I have, and this is the learning that I had from my one of my bosses, that every individual connects with you at a different frequency, right? So when you connect with different frequency, you are changing, and you are understanding personalities, you are understanding thought process, and the youngsters have a very different thought process, right? Guiding them and then kind of mentoring them to have little patience, right? Also throws some challenges to you, and this challenging the status quo culture that I have created offers so much of learning, whether it's on the technology aspect, whether it's on the process aspect, largely on the people aspect. Identifying people, taking responsibility of their career growth
Hmm.
offers you so much of learning. What are the strengths in that individual? What is his interest or her interest? What upskilling is going to help them, right? Because you want people to grow. You don't want people to be stagnant and then stop thinking and kind of creating problem for them individually and for the team. So
Hmm.
that this offers a lot of learning in many facets.
And that's your source of motivation.
No, I'll tell you. As I said, you keep visualizing future. You keep sharing that with your team members. You keep discussing ideas with them, implementing them. And I think when I spoke about empowering employees, your
Hmm.
team members,
Hmm.
for me the level of content that I get by directly or indirectly mentoring these youngsters and seeing them grow is unparalleled. I truly get motivated by seeing them work hard to be better than what they were yesterday. It's a very different satisfaction. I also believe, and you know me, optimism is a powerful tool. Having those positive thoughts, you need to find positives in between 10 negatives that you may be experiencing in your life. You
Wow.
have to be focusing on at least one learning that you can take out from the difficult situation. If you focus on failures,
Hmm.
not on the reasons of failure, then you'll never be able to avoid those failures in future. You have to really pick up the learnings, right? It's just a matter of attitude that you have towards your life. I have a very different attitude. See, ultimate satisfaction, Sunil, is when you know you have made the difference.
Hmm.
That keeps you going.
That's so lovely to hear from you. Um, I think this has been such a revelation for me personally. Not the fact that I have known you for some time, in fact, quite some time now, but putting this entire piece in perspective, I think it is highlighting this such a nuanced aspect of the importance of leadership and what the leaders can do to make a difference. But most importantly, I think what I have really enjoyed is to hear from you about your thoughts on how this whole aspect of engagement can be leveraged on ground and can be used to drive transformation. I think that has been quite a revelation.
I'll tell you, Sunil, one example. Sorry, maybe if I'm taking a little
No, no,
more
please,
time.
please.
When we started this digitization and the transformation journey in finance, and then we said, okay, let's bring more flexibility the way we work, start work from home, etc. Like any traditional
Hmm.
finance person, there is a resistance to change. There is a fear that new technology is going to replace me, and if I'm working from home, who's going to observe me? I will not be evaluated correctly in my performance. A year later, the team members post the first wave of pandemic it had hit, and when we started coming back to office, etc. I can't tell you how many team members of mine came and said what we had planned and tried for our team was so right, and we all have seen the benefit of that. Now the team is so creative. The digital task force that we have created in the form of bots, etc. How to live with them? They're so well oiled now. They understand working with bots is more or less similar to working with another human being, because you have to take care of those bots also at a regular interval, and they also require some monitoring. I think that mindset change has been phenomenal. I really enjoy it.
Great. Well, Yogesh, I would have loved to carry on this conversation, but I do understand the interest of time, that we will have to bring this nice conversation also to its logical end. Uh, to that effect, I think I must say that it has been so energizing and engaging having this conversation with you. And I would really like to thank you for sparing time out of a busy schedule to join us in conversations. Really, really appreciate for that. And to all our viewers and listeners, I'm sure there will be some nuggets that we can take away from Yogesh's practical experience on ground. So thanks a lot, Yogesh, for joining us.
My pleasure.
And we'll stay connected, and really, really wishing you all the best for the future success respect to the transformation journey that you are on.
Thank
So
you, Sunil,
pleasure.
and likewise wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So listeners, that was Yogesh Sirohi, CFO of PwC in India, sharing his thoughts on the power of engagement in driving transformation. Thanks a lot for joining and viewing this and listening to this particular podcast. And I'm sure all of you would have found this useful. We will be coming back to you again with another round of conversations with another leader, another topic very soon. Till that time, goodbye from us at Pragyan Advisory. All the best. Goodbye.